and I just want to say welcome again, and I'm grateful to have you. So, I want to discuss why I talk uh, about the Second Amendment and also some other things that have been going on. So, I want to share with you because I think it's all fun and, of course, all very, very important. So, why why am I discussing about the Second Amendment and not about the other things that I have been talking about before? It's because of the assault that has been taking place on our liberties as God-given liberties as people, and as for those who live elsewhere, not in the United States, and may or may not be aware. Uh, the United States has the Second Amendment, and of course, where I live in Virginia, it also has Article 1, Section 13 that protects a citizen's right to keep and bear arms, and that, of course, cannot be infringed by any law that is passed by a constitution. Now you'll have Congress, or you'll have the state legislature that would try to regulate certain firearms, but in all actuality, that is all unconstitutional and illegal because we have a right to keep and bear arms, and that right to keep and bear arms even includes a military style weaponry that that normally would not be that you would think would not be available to you, but it does give you that right because how else can you defend yourself against a tyrannical government that is seeking to take everything away from you? So this is what the Second Amendment is really about. It's not about hunting. It's not about anything that these people try to say, and then they try to. What they will try to do is they'll say, well, these people will go out and they will commit crimes with them. Well, yeah, of course, bad people commit crimes. They always do, and they always will. There's nothing that you can ever do about it. It's just the way it is. That's life, and but taking away a person's right to keep and bear arms and protect their families as what it is given to us by God, by the way, because even in the Word of God, it says a man who keeps his house safe and away from a well-protected house, he's able to keep his treasure and keep his family safe. So if we are not allowed to protect ourselves and not allowed to protect our possessions, then are we not also violating a basic principle in the Word of God? Of course we are. And if the government is taking that right away, then obviously they are in complete contrast of what God is telling us to do, because God gives us the ability to defend ourselves, the right to defend ourselves from evil people. Now, if everybody was perfect, of course we would not need firearms. We would not need swords or anything like that. But guess what? We are not perfect. There was only one perfect human being, and that was Jesus himself. And there's no one else that was ever perfect. So we're all imperfect, and we are all people who are in need of a savior. So therefore, we have to have weapons. We have to have weapons of war. That's what we are. We have to have in order to defend ourselves. This is what the founding fathers had. This is what the revolutionaries had back in the Revolutionary War. They had the same weapons that the British Army to defend themselves and to fight for the liberties that they have. Now, these governments, they want to take that right away. They want to take away the firearms and just make it to where you could just hunt. That means that you're just taking a small 22 rifle or whatever, or a small bow and arrow that has no effect on whatsoever against the government. So how can you defend yourself against the government with this kind of weapons? You can't. And so there have been a lot of movement across the country, but especially here in Virginia, I've noticed that there's been some county governments who have been utilizing Article 1, Section 13 of Virginia to create a regulated militia, meaning that it's a county militia that would only be called up in certain times in order to defend the people of the county from whatever is taking place. It's not from my understanding, these militias will not ever be used in an effort to go out and actually attack, to actually go out and try to, I guess, arrest the governor or whatever. It's only more or less used as a defensive measure against any encroachment within the county lines itself. And I'm sure that the sheriffs who are heading these militias, I'm sure they have some pretty strict background checks against these, certain people, and they would not allow anybody to come in that would be considered a danger. Now, let's talk about the mental health issue, because they want to talk about the red flag laws and everything else, right? I'm a psychiatric nurse, so being in the psychiatric field, I have seen a lot of different things, and I can tell you one thing, that the way that this red flag law in Virginia will go about taking away the rights of people, completely illegal, completely unconstitutional, takes away due process laws, even against those who are mentally ill. You just can't go in because someone is mentally ill and take away their rights. They have rights just as anybody else in this Commonwealth, and to take away their God-given rights is also a direct violation of their constitutional and God-given rights as well. You just can't do that. Even if if a person is actively having a breakdown episode, or they're schizophrenic, or whatever is taking place at that very moment, they're a danger to themselves at that very moment. It has to be at that very instance. And when they get an emergency custody order, when the police are called in and the police see what's going on, there's an emergency custody order that takes place. When that happens, the police officer will bring them to the hospital and will stay with that individual until a temporary detention order is taking place, has been fulfilled by the court. But with an emergency custody order, when they bring a person into the hospital, they don't take away their property. They just don't do that. It's an emergency custody order. All property is still maintained. So unless it's on their possession and they're using it as a means to injure themselves or whatever. But anyway, so that property is not taken away. These red flag laws takes it a step further by taking away a person's property, confiscation. This is basically a backdoor to confiscation. So why would we allow a government to come in and take away something that they have no right to take away? And second, if we already have emergency custody orders taking place, why do you need red flag laws to do that would, quote unquote, essentially do almost the same thing, but without taking away the property? So to me, it doesn't make sense that they would violate these constitutional rights of people. Even if a person is mentally unstable, they are well protected. No one ever knows. If you ever hear of a demented person, right, or someone who goes missing and they can't find the person, for whatever reason, that person goes missing. Well, probably because what happened was there was an emergency custody order that took place. They got brought into the hospital. Because they went far off somewhere, or they were caught roaming around. They couldn't answer basic questions. They were just kind of out of their mind, whatever happened. Well, probably because they're in a state hospital, or a psychiatric ward where where nurses cannot and doctors cannot, under any circumstance, unless there is a written consent from the patient themselves to to make phone calls or to allow certain people to know that they are there specifically. They just can't do that. So that's probably what happens when they're there. So you just can't go around and and just allow these red flag laws to take effect. And I hope that the sheriffs will stand up and not allow these things to take place. So anyway, HB 961, back to the second minute. So HB 961 of the is being heard now in the Senate. It passed the House this past week, and it would be heard in the Senate committee on Monday. So I would highly recommend that you will make every effort to contact your legislature to let them know that you are against this bill that would ban assault weapons, that will ban magazines, that will ban certain things, and so it will make you a misdemeanor, a felon, whatever. So you have to be able to. We need to go after this because it's not right. They will say, "Oh, it's grandfather in." Well, guess what? Grandfather in is still a violation of the rights of individuals, of Virginians. Why? Because once that goes into effect, anybody who does not own that particular rifle at that point in time can no longer purchase that kind of rifle from that point forward. So what happens is that you are no longer allowed to purchase a weapon that you used to be able to purchase legally before that assault weapons ban. So it's a violation of your constitutional amendment rights and your God-given rights as individuals. So I highly recommend that you will that you will get in touch with them. So yeah, so Derek, I totally agree. I'm sorry I didn't answer earlier, but I totally agree that Nazi Germany definitely killed over 1 million people, over 6 million. That includes the gypsies. That includes the Jewish people, and it's really pathetic. Anything that has to do with socialist, whether it's Chow, whether it's Germany, whether it's Stalin, or whoever these people are. I mean, yeah, seriously, why are we allowing that to take place? For sure. So another thing is that so I'm gonna get off the Second Amendment side of things and go more into what I have been doing the last few over the last few months. And so one of the things I've been doing has been, of course, furthering my education as a nurse, and I've been going to school, so I've been very, very busy with that, and haven't really been able to do the live feeds like I used to. I really want to, though, because I really enjoy doing live video with all of you. The second thing I've been doing is I've been running a business, and I want to share a little bit of a story, a testimonial of one of the products that I use. I won't give the name, but if you want to find out more, you could just message me, and I'd be more than happy to get back with you on that. And so I'm really amazed with this product because I've been using it for a little while, and this is really one of my personal story that I've really began to see a difference in what I use as a product. And for a while, so what happened was my wife came down with the flu. She wasn't really taking the product, not at least not on a consistent basis. She's kind of off and on. Most people are when it comes to, especially when you're young. You tend to not want to take any kind of supplementation or anything like that because it's just like, I'm young. I'm not going to get sick, that kind of thing. But you can, right? So my wife came down with the flu. Then my 3-year-old daughter came down with the flu, and what's really amazing is, of course, I've been taking the supplement every day, like twice a day, every day for this new one. It's a multivitamin, multimineral with a wonder molecule in it, which is an immune boosting molecule. And I'm so amazed with this because normally, like with the flu, you'll have like a 3 to 4 day, 5 days sometimes. It just depends. Fever, and certainly my wife and my daughter both had fevers of 102, 103. But their fevers, when they came down with this fever, I dramatically increased their intake of the immune molecule, the boosting molecule, the wonder molecule, where I started giving it to them. And then with my wife, it was so amazing. Like she had the fever, and of course the flu coming on. She threw up and stuff like that. And then that started Saturday night, I believe. And then the very next morning, she had a fever. Sunday morning, and then I was giving her the wonder molecule, and as I would say, like after that morning, because we also gave her some acetaminophen to help bring down the fever. After that, she no longer had the fever, and she no longer had the symptoms of the flu, with the exception of that she still had the cough. That kind of thing, but it wasn't really anything that would be even reminiscent of the flu. Like you're weak, you're tired, you're throwing up, or you're just having a very strong general malaise. So all that stuff, she was just had a fever overnight, and that was it. Normally you have fever like 3-4 days, but there was no fever, so there was no complications of the flu that took place. She only missed 2 days of work because you had the fever, and then you want to take an extra day just so that to make sure. And then at the next day, she was able to go back to work. So that was like Monday, and then she was back to work by Wednesday. My daughter, on the other hand, developed the fever a few days later. So again, hers started Saturday night. And so we started giving her, of course, the acetaminophen to bring down the fever, and we also have been giving her the wonder molecule as well. So we increased that in her, and the worst part of the fever was overnight again. So it was like Saturday night, and then by Sunday, her fever was starting to the left, but she wasn't over yet because hers took a little bit longer. She was fine, but she really didn't have a bad fever on Sunday. Monday morning, she had I'm not sure what happened, but she got a little bit sick in the morning, and she was throwing up and stuff like that. So she had the flu. The flu really hit her, and then kept. Of course, so we gave her a little bit of the Tamiflu along with the wonder molecule. And did you know, by that night, she had the Tamiflu, and then this was Monday, and then we gave her the wonder molecule. We increased her dose, and then by Monday evening, no more fever. She was back to normal again, and she was okay. So we continued with the Tamiflu for a couple more, just like 2 more days, and then we kept with her with the wonder molecule as well. and she has no signs whatsoever of the flu. No signs of fever. Her cough has pretty much gone completely away. She's back in school now. She only instead of missing a whole week of school, she only missed and when I say school, I'm talking about daycare. She's only missed let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She only missed 4 days of school instead of a whole week of school. So she was able to get back in school. So it's a great product. And on my case, I'm around both of these very sick people, and my wife being super sick, my daughter being very sick, throwing up on me. Oh my goodness, like throwing up everywhere on me one day, and so I was taking the product, and with the here, I'll grab a packet. So this is basically what it looks like, and then it comes with these packets here. So it's got like the fish oil, the iron, the wonder molecule, and a couple of other things in it. They also have one for women, and I feel really blessed because I never got sick. Not once did I ever get sick with the flu or anything like that. I didn't come down with the fever or anything like that. And there's like a few times where I felt like it's like maybe I better take extra precaution, but I kept taking the product here, and I just didn't get sick. I mean, I'm really blessed. I'm not saying that won't happen in the future, but I'm really blessed that the product that I am taking at the moment has really given me a very strong immune boost where, I'm just not, I just haven't gotten sick from my daughter or my wife for being sick. So now, of course, I had the cold probably, when I had the cold, about 2.5 months ago. Now, the only thing I was taking at that time was just the Wonder Molecule. I wasn't taking like the other multivitamins with it, with the Wonder Molecule, that's all encompassing, by the way. So maybe what happened was that my immune system was trained to this the virus that they had, and so when it was being floated around, that this Wonder Molecule, because it trained my immune system and it boosted it well and educated it, that when it came on again, my body was in full force already, and knew exactly what that virus would do and how it would do it and how it's working. So my body was able to attack it even before it came on. So like it was not able to take full hold and really create symptoms, because my body already recognized that this is a rhinovirus, or this is what made me sick before, so we can easily attack it and get rid of it quickly. And I believe that's what really happened. That's what this product does. It really trains your immune system, and it's really good for people who have other types of immune system issues, that kind of thing. It's a really good product. But anyway, so if you're interested in learning more about that, let me know, and I will definitely get back with you. And I'm really grateful that you have joined me here today, and I hope that you are having a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. So if you have a sweetheart, whatever, just take them out, make them feel warm, because that's what we do, right? Especially if you're married. And it sort of brings, like Valentine's, I think it sort of brings back a little bit of that dating feel that when you first start dating, and how you felt, and how you're always trying to pursue the love of your life, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's sort of Valentine's Day is sort of like that. It sort of brings back a little bit uh, of that feel. Because once you get married, it's like you sort of lose a little bit of that because you get so used to one another, and you're so and it's like it just kind of becomes commonplace that sometimes you forget uh, to constantly pursue the one that you love. And as married people, we have to always pursue. Pursuing does not stop when you get married. It continues even more so uh, past that. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day, and if you are taking out your loved one, have a good dinner. If you're just kind of hanging out the house, have a good night as well. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll talk to you later.